Уважаемый господин председатель Си Цзиньпинь,
President Xi,
уважаемые главы государств, правительств,
heads of states,
коллеги,
governments,
дамы и господа.
colleagues, ladies and
Для
gentlemen,
меня большая честь
it is a great honor for me
принять участие в
to
церемонии открытия
participate in the
международного
opening
форума
ceremony
«Один
of the
пояс, один путь».
One Belt, One Road International
О
Forum.
планах провести столь представительное мероприятие
Mr. Xi
председатель Си Цзиньпинь
informed
проинформировал
me
нас еще
about
в
his
сентябре
plans to
прошлого
hold
года
this
на
representative event
российско-китайском
back in
саммите
September
в
last year at the Russian-Chinese summit in
И мы,
Hangzhou,
безусловно, сразу поддержали
and
это
we
начинание.
certainly lend our support
Идея
to this
были
enterprise
высказаны еще
from the
раньше.
very beginning. This idea
Безусловно,
had been
эти планы
brought
дают
up
возможность
even
в
before
широком
that.
формате
Certainly,
обсудить
this gives
будущее
us an opportunity
огромного
to
евразийского
talk in a
континента.
broad format about the future of the
А наш
vast
континент — это
Eurasian
родина
continent.
великих
Our
цивилизаций.
continent is the birthplace
Народы
of great
с разными
civilizations.
культурами и
Peoples
традициями
with different cultures
веками
and
жили
traditions
рядом
have
друг с другом,
lived side by
торговали,
side for centuries.
а
They've been trading.
легендарный шелковый
Whereas
путь,
the legendary Silk
соединявший
Road,
практически всю
which
Евразию, как известно,
linked
шел
almost
от
all of Eurasia,
оазиса
as
к
is well known,
оазису,
went from one
от
oasis
колодца
to
к
another
колодцу.
oasis, from one world to
А
another.
в знаменитой китайской книге
And
«Перемен»
in the
с
great
ее богатым,
Chinese I Ching, the
ярким
book
языком,
of change with
колодец —
its
это
colorful,
образ,
bright imagery,
символизирующий
the
источник
well
жизненной
symbolizes
силы, вокруг
a
которого
spring of
строится
life force
общение людей.
underlying human communication.
Рождается
It
доверие,
gives birth to
возникают
trust,
связи,
fosters ties and
дружба.
connections, as well as
Этот
friendship.
исторический опыт
This
сотрудничества
historical
и человеческого
experience of
взаимопонимания
cooperation as well as
важен
human
для нас
understanding
и
is
в
of
21
import
веке,
to us in the
когда мир
21st century, when the
сталкивается с очень
world
серьезными
is
проблемами
faced with
и
very
вызовами.
serious challenges and problems.
Многие прежние модели и
Many
факторы
models
экономического
and factors
развития
of economic growth of old
практически исчерпаны.
have been all but exhausted.
Во многих странах кризис
Many countries are
переживает и
witnessing
концепция
a
социального
crisis
государства,
of the
сложившаяся
social
в
welfare
20 веке.
state concept, which
Сегодня она не
emerged in the
только
20th century.
не способна
As of
обеспечить
now,
устойчивый
it is
рост
barely capable
благосостояния, но порой
of
и
maintaining
удерживать его на прежнем уровне.
at the same level the welfare,
Все
let
более
alone
очевидны риски фрагментации
ensuring a
глобального
sustainable
экономического
growth
и
of welfare.
технологического пространства.
It is apparent that the global economic and
становится
technological space
нормой,
risks being fragmented,
а
protectionism is
его
becoming the
скрытые
new
формы являются
normal,
односторонние,
whereas
нелегитимные
its
ограничения,
latent
в том числе
manifestations
на поставку
take
и
the form
распространение
of
технологий.
illegal sanctions, including restrictions on
Идеи
the spread
открытости,
and supply of
свободы
technologies.
торговли
The ideas of openness and free
сегодня все
trade
чаще
are
отвергаются,
increasingly
причем
often
часто
being
теми,
rejected,
кто совсем
very
недавно
often by those
выступал их
who,
поборником.
but recently, served as the
Дисбалансы в
exponents of these
социально-экономическом
ideas.
развитии,
The imbalances in the social and
кризис
economic
прежней
development,
модели
the crisis of the
глобализации
old model of
ведут к
globalization,
негативным последствиям
all of this
для отношений
results
между
in
государствами,
negative consequences
международной
for
безопасности.
relations among states as well as for international
Бедность,
security,
социальная
poverty,
неустроенность,
social chaos,
колоссальный
a
разрыв
colossal gap
уровня развития
and
стран
the
и регионов
developmental
порождают
level of
питательную
countries
среду
and regions.
для международного
All
терроризма,
this creates a breeding
экстремизма,
ground for international
незаконной
terrorism,
миграции.
extremism, as well as irregular
Мы
migration.
не справимся с этими
We shall
вызовами,
not be able
если
to
не
live up to
преодолеем
these challenges should we
стагнацию,
fail
застой
to
в
overcome a stagnation of the global economic
Не будем
development,
забывать и о
nor
тех
should we
угрозах,
forget
которые
about the
несут
threats
региональные
that
конфликты,
emanate from regional
зоны
conflicts,
застарелого
from
противоречия.
the
Они
confrontation
сохраняются в очень многих
zones that
местах
persist in many
Чтобы развязать
places
эти узлы, следует
throughout
прежде
Eurasia. In
всего
order to untie
отказаться
these
от
knots, as it were,
воинственной
first and
риторики,
foremost, it is necessary to
взаимных
abandon
обвинений и
the
упреков,
belligerent
которые
rhetoric,
лишь
mutual
усугубляют
recriminations and
ситуацию.
reproaches, which serve
Да и в
only to
целом в
aggravate
логике
the
старых
situation.
подходов
On the whole,
нельзя решить ни одну из
it is
современных
hardly
проблем.
possible to
Нужны
resolve any
свежие,
of the issues of today
свободные от
following the old
стереотипов
logic.
идеи.
What we need is ideas that are fresh
Убежден,
and
Евразия
free of
способна
stereotypes.
выработать и
I'm
предложить
confident that
содержательную
Eurasia
позитивную
is able
Это касается
to
обеспечения
elaborate, come up
безопасности,
with a
развития
substantive
отношений
positive
между государствами,
agenda. I refer in particular to ensuring
экономики,
security, building
социальной
ties between
сферы,
countries,
системы
organizing the economy,
управления,
the social sphere,
поисков
the
новых
governance system.
драйверов роста.
I refer to finding new
Мы
engines of
должны
growth.
показать мировому
We
сообществу
should
пример
demonstrate to the
совместного,
world
новаторского,
community
конструктивного
an example of using an innovative approach to building future based on equality, equal rights, justice, respect for national sovereignty, international right, as well as the inviolable principles of the United Nations. And yet, to implement such an agenda, wish and will alone are not sufficient. What we need is actual instruments of such cooperation, and it is as a form of integration that we can build these instruments. Eurasia is witnessing the active development of many integration associations. We support them and we are interested in the successful advancement of these projects. Many are aware that Russia, together with its partners, is building the Eurasian Economic Union. We in the Eurasian Economic Union have similar approaches to building the Eurasian integration, and it is very important for us that the leaders of Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan take part in this forum. We salute China's large-scale initiative of One Belt, One Road, and putting this initiative forward. President Xi has demonstrated an example of an innovative approach to developing integration in energy, infrastructure, transport, industry, as well as the humanitarian field, which we have heard in detail right now. I believe that adding up the potential such integration formats as the Eurasian Economic Union, One Belt, One Road, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, ASEAN, can lay the groundwork for building a greater Eurasian partnership. It is exactly this approach that we believe we can view the agenda put forward by the Chinese People's Republic of China today. We would also salute the participation of our European colleagues in such a partnership, the European Union. In this case, it would turn into a harmonic, balanced and comprehensive partnership, will help us seize the unique opportunity of building a single space of cooperation from the Atlantic to the Pacific for the first time in history. Colleagues, even now, it is important to add concrete actions to the strategy for developing the greater Eurasian partnership. We can, for instance, set forth the ambitious goals of making the movement of goods in the Eurasian space very fast. Right now, President Xi has been telling us about slashing the bureaucracy in the movement of goods between Kazakhstan and China. We see the same thing happening in different dimensions. Certainly, if administrative costs are brought down, if logistics technologies are cutting edge, it is going to facilitate our work. We can also use the experience of the WTO, which is very precious and valuable. Let me remind you that in February 2017, the WTO trade facilitation agreement entered into force. We should certainly build upon the provisions of this agreement and even draft an even more advanced Eurasian agreement on trade facilitation. Let me highlight that Russia is not just willing to trade, we're willing to invest into building in our partners joint ventures as well as new enterprises. We're willing to invest into industrial assembly, into retail and maintenance services. It is important that our entrepreneurs should earn together, should succeed together, should set up competitive technological and industrial alliances together. But in order for this cooperation to be efficient, we should move towards unifying and, in future, towards building up uniform standards as well as technical regulations, both for traditional, industrial and agricultural goods and new high-technology produce. We should also remove infrastructural obstacles in the way of integration. We should build up the systems of modern transportation corridors that are linked together. Given Russia's unique geographical position, we are willing to engage in such kinds of work. We are consistently modernizing our sea, railway and automobile infrastructure. We increase the output capacity of the Baikal, Amur and the Trans-Siberian railroads, as well as invest considerable resources into the Northern Sea Route in order to turn it into a globally competitive transportation corridor. If we have a look at the broader picture, the infrastructural projects announced as part of the Eurasian Economic Union, as well as the One Belt, One Road initiatives, together with the Northern Sea Route, are able to set up a new transportation configuration of the Eurasian continent. And this is key to explore new territories, to resuscitate economic and investment activities. Let us build these roads of prosperity and development together in order to implement the large-scale projects in infrastructure, in energy and transport and cutting-edge high technology. We shall certainly require enormous private investment. That is why it is important to put in place predictable, convenient, comfortable and well understood conditions for investors to foster an exchange of best practices. For instance, we have been using the experience of the Asia-Pacific countries and setting up preferential conditions for investors and the advanced development territories in the Russian Far East. And the private investor is also going to benefit from the newly established institutions such as the New Development Bank of BRICS and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Certainly, high-quality integration is only possible if we have such a groundwork as a good human capital, well-qualified personnel, technological and scientific basis. In order to have this groundwork, we suggest we should work together in educational platforms and strengthening the cooperation of universities and business schools. I would like to invite our partners to get back to work together in fundamental science. I refer in particular to the possibility of building large-scale international research facilities and laboratories for joint use. Colleagues, it is evident that the ideas and the initiatives of this forum's participants shall require further discussion. And we certainly are willing to participate in this kind of discussions. Let me invite the participants, the representatives of the business circles, the civil society, politicians, to visit Russia in June this year as part of the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, and to visit Russia in September as well to assist the Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok. In conclusion, let me highlight Russia believes that the future of Eurasian partnership is not just about fostering new ties between countries and economies. It should change the very political and economic landscape of the continent, bringing Eurasia peace, stability, prosperity, as well as a brand new quality of life. Our citizens require well-understood things such as security, being able to be confident of the day to come, the possibility to work and to increase their welfare, the welfare of their families. And we owe it to them to secure these opportunities for them. And in these terms, Greater Eurasia is not just an abstract geopolitical scheme. Without exaggeration, it is indeed a civilizational project which is bringing about future, and I'm confident that following the logic of cooperation we shall implement it. I will have the grounds to thank President Xi for this initiative, which is very timely and which is very promising. Thank you for attention, and let me wish success to all of you in our joint efforts. Thank you.